You know, I've gotten to the point where I think whoever is in charge of Netflix, they might need counseling right now because they seem like a very, very hurt and paranoid person. I have been watching Netflix's business strategy, if you can even call it that, unfold for the last couple of years. And it's been kind of silly watching it, but this year in particular, woohoo! I think that they've jumped off the deep end. What finally drove me to make this kind of video is two things happened this week that I saw that are going to be released soon. A documentary about Rachel Dolezal, of all people. I think I got that right. I might be mixing up some letters. For those of you who don't remember, it's the woman who basically started the whole transracial thing, or at least started it as far as people in society talking about it. That was the woman who was the head of an NAACP chapter, and it was found out that the woman who had been saying for the longest time that she was a black woman was actually whiter than me, which caused a bit of a hoopla amongst certain groups, to the point where the argument of, well, if you can be transgender, you can be transracial too, popped up. And that started a whole big stink that's still going on now. They're giving her a please feel sorry for me style documentary. Netflix, you need help. But then, yesterday, I saw something that disgusted me on levels I cannot accurately describe. I saw Netflix is the one producing this, the reboot. Now, I had heard before the premise was going to be less reboot and more Code Lyoko. If you don't know what Code Lyoko is, it was, I believe, a French cartoon. Basically, it was traditional 2D hand-drawn animation when they were in the real world, and then when they went into the computer world, it turned into 3D CGI. And that was a really good show. They did it really well. The animation transition was very nicely done. It was a good show overall. You should watch it. It's heavily underrated. I don't know why, because it was everywhere for a while, and it was great. So I had heard that it was going to be like Code Lyoko instead of reboot, but I'd never seen any sort of confirmation thing until the newest Netflix trailer just popped up for it, and oh my god, it's terrible. It is Power Rangers meets Code Lyoko meets CG that is somehow worse than the original reboots, and reboot is from 1994. They showed about 3-5 seconds of Megabyte being in it, which is pretty much the only connection that this has to the original reboot, besides like the reboot symbol being on the main superhero hideaway base thing. He looked worse than he did in the original show. Again, that should not be possible. Because of technological innovations and ease of use of CG, you would think it would be impossible to make something look worse than it did 20 years ago unless you were trying. And that's the only way I can see this. They are trying to make this look like shit. Even if they were going cheap, I don't see how that's possible, considering the shoestring budget reboot was originally on. It's maddening when I saw that, and apparently I'm not alone in this, because the downvotes, woohoo, they are coming. Both of these things had downvotes past 10,000. They had like 1,000 upvotes, 10,000 plus downvotes, if not more by this time. And that is sort of a perfect culmination of everything that Netflix has been doing the last couple of years. They have been taking a widespread shotgun approach to anything. You want on Netflix, they will let you on Netflix. Why? Because they are scared shitless right now. For the longest time, Netflix had pretty much sole dominion of streaming because no one else was doing it. They had the technology, they had the capacity, other media companies just wanted to see if streaming would actually work and take hold. And as we've seen by Netflix numbers, yeah, it works. It works really well. Ignore the fact that Netflix is like, what, 10 billion, 12 billion in debt? But they get a lot of people subscribe to Netflix because of the ease of use and the wide range of stuff that's on it. Well, now, what I predicted back in, well, pre-2010, when Netflix was still a mail-in order thing, I questioned how this business model would survive if these companies suddenly said, we want our shit back. And we are now at that point. Beginning this year, but especially moving on to about 2020, Netflix is going to lose just about everything they have from everyone else. I knew this was coming. There was no way they could survive on just contracts to lease out the property and rights to show all these other movies and shows from these other companies. They were eventually going to want them back, and they were going to try some sort of streaming thing themselves. So now, because of that, Netflix is in this position where they have to take anything because they need products, they need shows, they need movies, they need everything they can get their hands on, and that has created a situation where the majority of the stuff that they bring on is crap. It is crap on levels I cannot describe. Bill Nye Saves the World, we thought was going to be a nice continuation of the Bill Nye series. Ha ha ha! I've talked about that before. The Magic School Bus reboot looks god-awful. It does. I know that people have said, oh, well, it's not as bad, it just looks terrible. I'm sorry, it looks terrible, and the new main character is horrible. They've gotten a lot of terrible CG movies. That seems to be their shtick with animation. With animation, they get the worst of the worst. They get stuff that even straight to DVD would be ashamed to have. There have been a few good series, don't get me wrong. Like for every BoJack Horseman, they have 20 big mouths. For every one good show that they somehow got early on, they have 20 terrible shows that no network in their right mind would take. Tell you how weird it is. A YouTuber has an animated series going on a actual broadcast channel rather than Netflix. That seems weird to me. You'd think of all people, a YouTuber would be on Netflix. I am of the mindset that quality is better than quantity. And unfortunately, Netflix is in this position where, because they had so much quantity before, and a lot of it was good stuff because they managed to get a lot of the good things that other companies had, now they're in a position where they need the numbers so that when they lose everything, they still have roughly that same amount. The problem is the vast majority is being replaced by crap. And that is not a business model you can survive on. Next year, Disney is pulling basically everything, and they're going to have a lot of shit, especially when that Fox merger goes through, if it goes through. But they're going to have a lot of shit, and they're going to pull all of it off of Netflix, and Netflix is going to feel that. They are going to hurt really bad. Hell, Disney's streaming service is going to be significantly cheaper than Netflix because they said that they won't have the numbers that Netflix has now. They are going to be intentionally, what I would assume is, taking a loss or very minimal profits so that they can get the user base up, and then as they start making stuff specifically for the streaming service, as they start getting more quantity, then they'll increase prices. That is a really good idea for fucking with Netflix and fucking with their viewership and subscription numbers. And Netflix really needs help right now because they've started to branch into a lot of other stuff. They made their first like $100 million movie with Will Smith. From everything I've heard, that was everything from mediocre to just above average. I've not heard anyone say that it is par excellence, that it is like an absolute must-watch. You need the service so that you can watch this kind of thing. I've heard it say that, yeah, it's pretty good. You'd like it. That's about as far as people go. Netflix is going to be getting into their own anime production, and the frontrunner of that is Neo Yokio, Jaden Smith's pet project. The thing that I am pretty sure Papa Smith said, let my son have an anime, he really wants this, then I'll sign on to this contract. I'm pretty sure that was part of his movie contract, because oh my god, that anime was shit. And if that is what is going to begin Netflix's anime production, just stop right now. Netflix needs help, they need direction, they need quality. Because they can't survive on just taking absolute shit quantity. People will jump ship if this is what they expect. That there is sort of a running gag on the internet that 1,000 upvotes, 10,000 downvotes, that is a typical Netflix rating. This joke is even more relevant because Netflix turned off their rating system, so you don't know what the quality of something is until you go in and go, oh, this was shit. Why the fuck was this in my recommended? Thanks, Netflix. Just Netflix. Calm down. Get some help. Look for quality stuff. That's all it'll take. I promise you. This has been Math Machine trying to console a major corporation. I feel weird just saying that. Peace out.